Hello viewers, it's Super GT here. Welcome to some gameplay in the Porsche. Now before we start, this is going to be an absolute horror show of a race, so brace yourself for some carnage around a very wet Nordschleife. So into turn 1, I'm going to get on the brakes nice and early. Well, the guy behind me isn't going to do that, because that obviously isn't a very Forza thing to do, is it? So he's going to go clattering into the back of me. But he's going to go wide down the hill on the left hand side there, so I'm going to go through back into 14th. Looking up the inside in 13th, but he's going to hold it around the outside. Now this track in the rain, well, pretty much half of it is underwater, so this is going to be extremely chaotic, and it's already proving so. Look at that, those two guys blocking the track, and I'm through. He's through in the puddle, and they're gonna make a nasty collision there. And this guy is just going to get caught out by the puddle. He spun round, and I almost followed him off. That guy's all over the show as well, and I'm through into 7th. Now I started quite near the back. I think I was 14th at the start, so moving up very steadily through the pack. It's pretty much just a case of trying not to make as many mistakes as you can, basically. Let everyone else make the mistakes around a track like this, because people don't really know where the puddles are. It's a very hard track to learn. It doesn't come up too often, although I did do it very recently. It's very hard to learn the exact location of every puddle on this track, which typically lends itself to an extremely, just an absolute horror show of a race. I can only describe it in those kind of terms. So behind me here is CQR Type R, who's of course a very fast driver. Now we are going to try to reel in the guys ahead. Coming down the hill, there's a lot of puddles here. But thankfully you can go pretty much straight through them without worrying too much. And as we come up the hill, I'm going to get caught out on the inside there, turn it into a drift session, smash into that guy who was in the middle of the track. I'm going to just slowly rejoin. Type R goes through there into 6th position. I'm in 7th now, but I'm not going to be too worried about that, because now we can slowly reel in the guys ahead together. And sometimes it's better in the rain to be the person behind, because you can see the reference point. You can use the guy ahead as a reference point, essentially. You can see what he does wrong and then just correct it. So if he goes through a puddle, you can just you can see the puddle and then just avoid it. That guy's gone wide, so I've gained a position. CQR Type R now up into 5th. I'm in 6th now. Coming downhill, this is a very tricky section. I know there's a big puddle on the left hand side on the apex of this turn, and even so it does throw me wide, and I go into a massive drift session once again. Type R has been caught out. He's gone down to 0 miles an hour on the wall, so I'm through past him into 5th. Now I'm just going to try and build the gap between the two of us, and now going up to about 300 or 400 feet. I think he's been passed back there. So we're coming downhill, nearing the halfway mark on the lap. A lot more puddles on the inside. That is really the main thing you got to watch out for. And it's really weird how the puddles just kind of just stay there on the top of a hill, defying gravity. So you would have thought that those puddles would just, drain to the bottom of the hill. But this is a very strange weather phenomenon in Nürburgring, it seems, where the water can defy gravity. And I'm off, and I'm going to slide around. That's just a noob error. That is honestly a very noobish error. But I haven't actually lost a position as it stands here. I do have someone right on my tail, but thankfully I just had enough of a gap. But looking behind there and on the map, there's a good 5 or 6 of us here in a row. So this can get very interesting up this straight. There's a huge puddle on the right. Just about managed to avoid that. The guy behind me though didn't, and he's gone flying into the wall. That is one of the puddles I do remember, thankfully, and you lose so much time if you go into that and go into the barriers, as everyone else is going pretty much full speed up this straight. And then at the end, this long left, going through there quite nicely. There's not a puddle on this right hander as well, so this one can be taken fairly quickly as well. I think it's just the puddles. The puddles are the thing that really mess you about in the rain. When there aren't puddles, it's not too bad handling the car, but it's just going through those puddles that is really the key to success in the rain on this game. Now into the carousel, the water is going to settle at the bottom of the carousel, and that's thrown me right off, because you need to go into the carousel to get the speed round there, but you don't want to go right to the bottom of it where the water is, so it's very tough. You've got literally 2mm to play with there, so very tough to get that one right. Drifting through that turn, keeping it under control though. Now we're coming up into my favourite section of the Nordschleife, very twisty section, so hopefully we can gain on a couple of the guys ahead. We've made so many mistakes in this race already, so at this point we're trying to aim to make no more from here to the end. Hopefully we can gain a couple more positions. I think first and second are a long way ahead. Fourth is just ahead of us here, so we have got a target to look for, and I've made that mistake. There it is, going through the puddle, throwing me off onto the side of the track. Type R goes back past. It's a very topsy-turvy race between the two of us. We have both had an absolute horror show in this one, both making huge mistakes, taking turns to just make the most noobish mistakes of all time, and it's actually turning out to be quite an entertaining race because of it. Sometimes these kind of races do make for very good races. As I go through the puddle, these races do make for exciting races where both competitors are normally fairly decent, but you just both make very amateur errors basically. But I think the main key to success here would be just to do a hot lapping session on this track to learn exactly the location of all the puddles. I know where the puddles are on pretty much of all of the wet circuits on this game, just this one I don't know. Coming down the hill, Type R's made another error and he's gone through the puddle, and I'm back past into fourth, and the guy in third isn't too far ahead still. There is still a chance we could catch up with him. He is just up ahead there. You can see his spray just around this left-hander. So we are coming up to the straight though, so there isn't going to be much opportunity down the straight because our cars are all stock. This is the Flying Lizard Porsche RSR. So the leagues here, I was a little disappointed actually with the leagues that they made them shorter. I really did enjoy the leagues, which were typically about twice as long as your normal online lobby race, and included a quick stop in the middle or whenever you wanted to take it for a bit of strategy. I'm disappointed that they took those away. Hopefully they do bring them back, because the racing on the whole was a bit better with the strategy as well. People were more patient because the races were longer, but for some reason they've got rid of them. So these races here, just your normal length races basically that you see in the normal online lobbies. But coming up the main straight, or not the main straight, it's the long straight, should we call it, at the Nordschleife, I haven't really gained all that much, but I can gain, actually no I can't, not if I do that, not if I go flying into the wall at 200 miles an hour or something ridiculous. And I'm just going to try to nurse this car back. I did have a decent gap, but I've got pretty bad damage here, so the car is turning all over the bloody place, and I've got a very hard task on my hands here to try and keep it in front of the other guys through the final turn, get it on the apex nicely. Actually, I'm going to just about do it. So thankfully I had a big enough gap before we got to that last complex there before I went flying into that wall. Just one little error on the puddle and you're going flying into a wall at 200 miles an hour. Luckily that wasn't real life, otherwise I wouldn't be here to talk about it. But there is the paint job I was using for anyone who would like to use it. I'll try and do this a little bit more often. I'll try to get a snapshot of the paint jobs I use, just in case you want to use it as well, because a lot of people do request the name. So a quick bonus clip here for you here. So again in the Porsche League, around Sebring this time, first lap into the final turn, turn 17. Let's see what we can do here. Going around the outside of that guy, all these guys are going to push each other off, and I'm through, gained 3 or 4 positions there. That's a very decent turn, but there wasn't much more excitement in the league. So that is going to bring a close to the video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts as always. Hit that like button, subscribe for more of the same, and I hope to see you in my next one. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.